So how do you foresee the financial future? 5, 10 years from now?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, oh, well, the world, I don't have much faith in the world. The world is irreversible. We're fucked. I mean, we're fucked. But for the next 50 years, I mean, I make hay while the sun shines. Until the next, we're in the 11th month past the longest bull market in recorded history on the planet. Bull market, economics cycle, stock markets, okay? We're in the 11th month past the old world record. We got Trump coming in again, in my judgment, and he's going to extend that bull market. And he's very stock market oriented. He's very interest rate oriented. Some people say he's too stock market oriented. Some people say he's too interest rate oriented. But that's all good for us. For the next 5 years, to coincide, actually, I believe 6 years, to coincide with my 80th birthday in 6 years, it's easy peasy, as our daughter used to say 20 years ago when she was a little girl. And in some countries, like this country, it's easier because the only problem the Netherlands has is a lack of work ethic. They're lazy. They're just flat fucking lazy.
And slow.
Well, I think they're lazy because they're slow. Because they don't want to intellectually engage with somebody like me because I'll rip their head off and shit down their neck. I'm intellectually, I'm a genius. 2, I'm extremely quick. And I chop people like you up for fucking not even breakfast. That's what they're afraid of. But the bankers are slower than you. They're slower than you. And when you come in with a script that you took off my site for free, they're going to think you are fucking Warren Buffett.
And why don't people do it?
They don't do it because, number one, most people don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They're comfortable. And the Netherlands is a great place to be comfortable at, you know. I know. I mean, I've been here since the early, middle 90s. But see, I remember what Amsterdam and Rotterdam looked like in 1952 and 53. I was here then as well, as a little kid. Flat, bombed out. You could pick up Nazi war helmets in the rubble. Almost as, this is an exaggeration, but almost as flat as this stage. When I was here from beginning of 52 to the end of 53. During the Korean War, my dad was an army officer, and he was able to bring his dependents here. And we were stationed in France, but Berlin, I mean, most of Europe was flat. See, so I know what it looked like. I know what it looks like now. But the people that had the big, much more expanded comfort zones were your grandparents that fought the Germans. You know, and they had hard times. But I mean, you haven't fought anybody except your waistline. And most of you are losing that battle. You haven't done shit. You know, what do you want your legacy to be? Some of you don't even want to talk. It's another thing you don't want to talk about. What's your legacy going to be? You know, when I tell students and groups, if I were you, anybody in the audience, and I could see a 17-year-old kid, multimillionaire, flying in his fucking jet plane, I'd be embarrassed. Teenager, no education, homeschooled, one of 10 kids, in a fucking... How can you... I don't care how you justify. I don't care what bullshit you can tell yourself. You can't bullshit yourself enough to overcome a fucking teenage multimillionaire in his own fucking jet. You can lie to yourself from now until Christmas, and you can't bullshit yourself over that. And that's only one kid. I got a jillion of them. What are you going to do? Now, I say this metaphorically because my lawyers say I can't do it anymore. Most of you ought to just take a fucking thing, boom, blow the top of your fucking heads off, and then let Michael pray for you. What are you going to do? Josh Kim has a cult following of 1 million people following him. When he walks around, he lives in a penthouse in Las Vegas. He races his $2 million race car on the weekends. He just turned 21. Other than jerking off, what were you doing between 17 and 21, guys?
What did he do?
He rolled up home-assisted health care. Okay, in America, they want to get you out of the hospital as soon as possible now. They don't want you to stay more than a few hours or a day or two after surgery, okay? And so they can, home-assisted is you go home and the nurse comes to you or the physio comes to you and he's rolling those up. He has 2 offices, one in Chicago, one in Las Vegas. And the big margin business, and there's a lot of people that have started those businesses 20, 30, even 40 years ago that have no exit. Healthcare is hot all through Europe, but the hottest of hot is cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. That is sizzling hot. Every time Trump rattles his sword, cybersecurity, and you like some cybersecurity guys just stole 40 million in Bitcoin. It's hot. And some of the kids that got into cybersecurity at the beginning of the cycle, 25, 30 years ago, when it really started, are now tired, old. Not old by my standards, but they feel old, and they don't want the hassle anymore, so they went out. And the banks love to finance them. And 40%, between 40 and 60% of all cybersecurity contracts are with governments, either main governments, municipalities, state governments, school governments, and they're easier to finance because, by definition, almost all governments pay. In other words, will pay out the contract, and you won't have to worry about the risk of non-payment. And that's how I got started. I got started with a government contract 35 years ago, and it's still there.
What are other interesting industries?
Healthcare, internet, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. I'm going to tell you everything except the ones I'm going to tell you to stay away from now. The list of staying away is much shorter than the list of doing. Retail, forget about it. Restaurants, forget about it. Bars, forget about it. Construction, forget about it because the margins are too thin. Virtually, you can take a yellow page. They don't have yellow page books anymore, do they? You could throw a yellow page on the ground and let the wind blow the pages. Stop there. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. I mean, virtually almost anything except those industries I just mentioned. In those industries, and when you think about it, which you probably don't, but when most of the big companies, General Motors is a roll-up consolidation play. Most of the airlines are roll-up consolidation plays. Consolidation meaning buying up smaller airlines to make a big airline. IBM, which used to be called International Business Machines, is a roll-up consolidation play. The banks, financial tech is huge, hot, financial technology, which is part of kind of an offshoot of cybersecurity. But artificial intelligence in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the audiences are going to be you. It's going to be cyborgs. I'm going to still be doing this 40, 50 years from now. So I'm looking forward to that because then I won't have to explain so much. But the one thing that, and there's a few guys around like me in the world, not many, to this day, they have not figured out, coders, how to write an algorithm for experience. So my 50 years of experience in thousands of transactions hasn't been able to be duplicated with an algorithm. I'm the only person out there that has done, with kids like you, deals in the millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions, tens of billions, and hundreds of billions. From teenage multimillionaires, which you're probably tired of hearing about, Josh, by now, to the largest transaction in recorded history, $500 billion, my mentees, Neom, the city of the future in Saudi Arabia. If anybody speaks Arabic in the audience, which is not likely, but if you speak Arabic or you're willing to learn Arabic, Monday, buy a one-way ticket to the kingdom, Saudi Arabia, never return. There's going to be at least 1 million billionaires made in Neom, the city of the next century. 1 million billionaires. Leave your wife, your children, your pregnant wife, leave. And just send them the money back. If you speak French, you go to Haiti. If you speak Portuguese, you go to Brazil. There's still places, but nobody in this fucking room is going to go to Brazil and learn Portuguese.